Welcome once again to the course PL 300 Power BI Data Analyst that is brought to you by Newland Technologies. If you find this course on YouTube, please subscribe and click like, or if you find this on YouTube, please call the number and contact us for more details. So let's get started. We intend to look today how to identify and connect to data sources. So let's get started. So if you look at the bottom, like I said just now, we want you to join the course and learn and take the exam. And the contact number is 240-413-8452 for more information. And we would like you to subscribe and click the like button. Thank you for your attention, and now let's get to business by looking first of all the portion of the course outline that we are embarking on today. So it's from the get data from data sources, and specifically it's identify and connects to data sources. So let's see the course outline itself. Prepare the data, get data from data sources, and that's identify and connect to a data source. Later on we'll be looking at change data source settings, including credentials, privacy levels, and data source locations. Select connect to data. The most formal way, I'll call it formal because there are other ways, is to go to the Home tab and the data group. There you will see the get data command button. This is what I'm showing right now on the screen. If you go to Power BI, the Home tab and the data group, you can have the data sources. You have get data, Excel workbook, data for the service, SQL. You can enter data manually, data vars, or recent sources that you can reconnect to. Now to expose the main connection point, which is the get data command button, you'll click that button, and that will give you a list of sources, mostly the common data sources. So these are the most common data sources: Excel, Power BI, data sets, etc., etc. So in order to do that, we actually click the Home tab, the get data, and this will be exposed. And at the bottom here, the more data, if we click that, it will give us the different groups of data sources so that we can streamline the search. Because if we want to search using the all, we have to scroll down the list. But to narrow that list, we can go to the navigation side and choose whether it's a file, a database, Power Platform, Azure, online services, and others. Once you make your choice, then you can get along. So let's go one by one on those choices that are available in Power BI, starting from, of course, Microsoft own Excel connector. connect to Excel in Power BI desktop. So we go to the Home tab, the data group. We can have Excel workbook there that we can click. Alternatively, we can click the Get Data and we can click Excel workbook. Then once the navigator presents itself to us, we can choose either a table or a sheet. So we know that this is a table, an Excel table, because it has this blue, and we know that this is a sheet because we have two small tabs here showing that these are worksheets. So from there we can choose the table that we want to analyze, and then we can click the transform data as a choice between load and transform. We make a choice of transform data because we want the Power Query editor to be presented to us so that we can make immediate change. Or we can choose to load if we know that we do not need to make any transformation on the data to get it to the business requirements. Even though if you load the data, you can come back to it and you manipulate the data to whatever you want. Even after you've created your solution and you want to make changes, you can make changes to your solution, and it's easy to even change the source of the data, but the structure of the data has to be the same. So let's go back and now see how we can do what we've just said in Power BI itself. So in Power BI, we have many ways to connect to Excel. Of course, right on the canvas here, we have import data from Excel. We can click this. We can click Get Data from the data pane, which we formerly call the fields pane. We can click Excel here. These are just the easiest way to click because you just scroll your mouse to the command and click and click and click. But the easiest for Excel is the one on the data group, the Excel workbook, or this one. Alternatively, you can click the Get Data and you can get Excel from here too. Or you can go to the file and then you say Get Data and you can get Excel there. But simplicity is the best, so we just click from here, Get Data, and then we have the open dialog box present itself to us to make a selection of the file we want to analyze. We pick that file, we say open, or you can double click and that will do everything for you, which brings us to the navigator. The navigator gives us the opportunity to choose what tables that we want to work with, or what table we want to work with, or what sheets we want to work with. When you make a selection, it will give you a preview of the data. That's all about it. You cannot make any change here because the connector is Excel and Microsoft is able to pick everything from it. If you want to load the data, you can click load. If you want to immediately transform the data, then you can click transform data. So once we make a choice, in this case we want the Power Query editor to present itself to us, so we'll make a choice of that, and there you go, it will load the data. We have the customer table. So let's take a brief moment to really understand what Power BI has done for us through Power Query here. We have the table, the customer table that we chose. It's there. And we have steps already done for us. This is because of the settings of Power BI right now. Is saying that when you load the data, you want Power BI to detect the data types and, if possible, relationship. Of course, we do not have relationship into this file, or we just in fact select just one table, so that is not applicable in this situation. So all what it's done for us here is to give us the table, which is now a query, and 3 steps. Let's understand these steps. So this first step, which is source, is where you will browse again to change the data source. Say you have fresh data, you want to change it, you click browse and browse for it, and once you do that, you click OK. That's about it. It will change it to the fresh data. You do not need to go through what you will normally do on a day-to-day basis. When you create your pivot table, you get your data, you'll have to do some bit of physics. Maybe you convert the old data set into a table. No, you don't do that. All you need to do here is simply to point to the data source. Once you point to the data source, you are done, and everything will just work for you. So this step is the navigation, where you make a choice of the data you want to analyze. So it simply navigates to the particular source of data. So you note we have a whole lot of source of data here. We choose customer, so it's navigated to customer. So the next is the real detection of the data type. So Power BI is assisting us by changing the data type. If we move to this, you'll see that we have ABC123, so there is no data type, but Power BI was able to determine, based upon sample of data, that this is supposed to be integer, this is text, and so on and so forth. So this is all about connecting to the data, and now you can start do your manipulation of the data. And even you can say, well, I don't want this to be integer, I want it to be something else. Then you can come here and make a choice of whatever data type you want to use, but it has to be reasonable, because these are numbers. So you can choose decimal, but it's not appropriate because we do not have decimal point. When you have decimal point, you have more storage space being used underneath, so you don't want to do that. So all numbers are more efficient in this particular situation, even for the workability of your solution at the end of the day. So this is how you connect to Excel workbook. Now let's go further to the second connector that I intend to cover for today, which is CSV. So at this point, we can switch back to the slides, and if we move to the topic, connect to CSV files in Power BI desktop. So the same thing in Power BI, you click the Home tab, Get Data, and then you select Text or CSV. Once you do that, it will present the open again, just like Excel. You make a choice, and that's as simple as it can get. So let's see this in action in Power BI itself. I'll switch back to Power BI. Now I don't want to go to the main Power BI because I'm already in Power Query. You don't need to go back. So you can just click here, the new source, and then you make a selection of text or CSV, and then we make a choice of that, and that's as easy as that. In this situation, for .csv file, we can make changes here. If you're living in another country, say Portuguese, and the character sets are different, Power BI already determined that it's a comma delimited. And like I was telling you, Power BI, in order to detect the data type, will use sample, and for CSV it mostly defaults to the first 200 rows of the data, and it will use those as information to detect the data type. So already you can see that Power BI figured out some few things for you, and if you click OK, then the data will be ingested. It's the same customer table that I just changed into CSV just to have that experience. But as you can see, there is not much difference when you connect into the CSV file or when you connect into Excel file. It is only the additional choice of whether it's a text or tab delimited that was detected, and you can make difference in choice. So this is all about connecting to the data, and you can now start do other manipulation. In the next video, we'll move on to online sources, and then we see the experience of connecting to online sources. Thank you very much for joining us. We'd like you to join the course with us so that you can be able to take the exam and be proficient in what you do, anything data. Thank you.